Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we have some awesome new cards out of Rage of the Abyss. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check out these awesome new cards. So for our first new card, we actually have a new Dragon of Soul and Pride, and this card looks absolutely amazing, actually being a Blue Eyes Ultimate version of Dragon of Soul and Pride. But this card looks amazing with that gold and platinum look. It's really cool too. This card is actually very interesting and has a super cool effect. This card is actually going to be called Ultimate Dragon of Pride and Soul, and it's a level 12 Dark Dragon Fusion effect monster with 4,500 attack points and 4,500 defense points. That's really big to be able to summon out to your side of the field. Its materials are 3 monsters with 2,500 original attack and defense points, which is pretty specific to be able to summon out because they have to have exactly 2,500 original attack and defense, but you probably could use Super Poly to be able to summon this card out in certain circumstances. This card also has 3 really interesting abilities: that your opponent cannot target this fusion summon card with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by their card effects. This fusion summon card gains 4,500 attack and defense points while you have 25 or more cards in your graveyard. That boosts this card up to 9,000. That is absolutely massive to be able to summon out to your side of the field, because it does come out with that 9,000. His card's actual third effect is once per turn. If your opponent has 25 or more cards in their graveyard, you can actually destroy all cards they control, which is pretty interesting to help you just go in for game, especially with how massive this card actually is. We do have another card that we're going to be talking about in just a second, which is actually Puppet Shark style, but this card is really neat overall because it does have that 4,500 and 4,500, which is really neat. Plus, this card is like based on Blue Eyes Ultimate, which is just absolutely amazing. This card is really cool overall. So let's go ahead and check out Puppet Shark style. So this card is actually really neat for a lot of different decks. I actually see this card being side decked in a lot of decks. So this card is actually going to be called Puppet Shark style and is a normal trap card. This card, you can only activate one of this card's name per turn, but you can actually detach an Exi material from a monster on the field. Meaning you can detach it from either player's field, just as detach a Exi material from a monster on the field. And if you do, excavate the top 4 cards of your deck. Choose a card from them and then apply the effect based on the type. You also place the rest on top of the deck in the same order. If it's a monster or a spell, you add it to your hand. If it's a trap, you set it and it can be activated this turn, which is amazing because there's a lot of amazing trap cards that we can actually excavate with this card's effect, because you can just immediately grab a trap card that you want to be able to use, especially in Gimmick Puppet, where there's a bunch of different awesome trap cards that you can use in Gimmick Puppet to be able to swarm the board. But overall, I feel like this card is actually really amazing to be able to use because it does have that effect that you can detach an Exi material from a monster on the field, which is a really powerful effect to be able to just detach a card. Also, being able to grab that trap is just really good, or if you activate it during your turn, you can still use that spell card if it's your turn, which is pretty cool to be able to just grab a card that you need, especially when you need to be able to grab a monster or a spell card, which is just going to help out. Being able to use this card for consistency is really nice. I feel like it's a little bit slow because it is a trap card, but I love the artwork because it's based on Shark and Quattro's duel, and it's really amazing, where like the puppet is like using the shark as its puppet, as it's a puppeteer, which is just really cool. Overall, fantastic card. Really love the artwork, and really cool to be able to bridge the Gimmick Puppets and the shark cards, which is just really nice. So for our next card, we actually have a new Memento card, which is actually going to be Akihiro, which is really interesting that this card actually got to be a Memento card, and it's actually really cool because it's actually orange for the crystal color, which is really cool. I love the way the wings look. Those look really cool. This card is actually going to be released in Rage of the Abyss, just like the rest of the cards that we are actually looking at today. But let's go ahead and check out and see what this card actually does. So this card is a level 5 Water Aqua effect monster that is 1,700 attack and 1,400 defense, which is actually some pretty small stats. But this card also has some pretty interesting abilities. You can only use the first, second, and third effect of this card's name once each per turn. And if this card is normal or special summon, you can activate this effect that level 9 or higher Memento monsters that you control can attack directly this turn. meaning our copy of our combined creation with 5,000 attack point can swing directly, and our copy of our creation king that has 3,000 attack points can swing directly, meaning that we can OTK our opponent, which is pretty cool. I love that effect on this card, just to help you OTK your opponent. Even if all you get is your copy of combined creation on the other side of the field, it is 5,000 attack points, which usually can help you end the game. But this card is actually really neat for that first effect. I definitely see this card being a 1-of in the deck at least. For its second effect, if this card is destroyed by card effect, you can actually target one other memento card in your grave or banishment and add it to your hand. That's a pretty good effect to help you recycle your resources to grab the exact card that you need back out of the graveyard, or just banishment, which is really nice. And it's really cool because it actually says you can actually target one other memento card and not specifically a memento monster, meaning you can grab cards like a banished fusion, a banished bone party, something like that that you might need. This card is going to help out a lot overall for the consistency of the deck to help you grab back your banished cards. For its third effect, if a memento monster in your hand or face on the field is destroyed while this card's in the graveyard, you can actually special summon this card, which is great because it's a level 5. I was kind of worried about this card's effect because it is a level 5 monster, which is going to be, I have to take a tribute to summon this card out. But if you can just special summon this card out to your side of the field, that's not too bad. Because if a memento monster in your hand or face up on the field is destroyed by battle by card effect while it's in the grave, you can special summon it, meaning you can use your own memento cards to pop cards on the field, and then just bring this card back to your side of the field, which is just really, really nice. I also love the fact that it doesn't say the monsters that you currently control on this card's effect. It says memento monsters that are level 9 or higher can attack directly this turn. So if you summon this card first, and then you summon Combined Creation and Creation King later, they can attack directly, which is really nice to be able to do. But later on, you can just swing in for game. But this card actually helps out a lot for the strategy to help you attack directly, and it's really cool that we're seeing more of the old vanilla monsters turned into memento cards, especially with how cool they look. I really like the look of this card. I wasn't expecting this card to be a memento card. I would still love to see Summon Skull turned into a memento card, but definitely comment down below what cards you would like to see turned into memento cards. I would personally like to see a Summon Skull turned into mementos, because you could actually see it with like black crystals for its claws, which would be really neat, and for like its horns could be black crystals, which would be really cool overall. Plus, I feel like we're still missing a level 6, I believe, so it'd be really nice to actually see Summon Skull as a 2,500 attack point boss monster for the main deck, be able to summon out to your side of the field. I feel like this card overall is really good for the deck, but I feel like it's just a really good step in the right direction because it's going to help you attack directly just to end games. So, for the last card we're going to be actually talking about, we have this really awesome card that's actually based on the Hai Yang Fire King boss monster and the new Mermail Atlantean boss monster, which is really cool because if you guys don't know with the lore, Fire King Island actually has the Fire Kings on it, as the name says, and surrounding it is the Mermail and the Atlantean cards, which is really neat because they're constantly fighting, which is really cool that we actually have another artwork. I believe the other card was called High Tide on Fire King Island, which is actually where you can see Poseidra and Garunix fighting. But it's really cool that we see both their XZ versions actually fighting, and it's cool that we actually see up on the artwork, you see they're like their bracelets, which is kind of neat to be able, like, they're fighting over those cards for a power struggle. So let's go ahead and check out this new card. It's called Surging Clash on Blazing Seas. So let's go ahead and check out and see what this card actually does. This card is a normal spell card that you can only activate its first and second effects of this card's name each once per turn. You can actually activate one of these effects to discard a water monster to the grave and then target a face-up card or face-up monster your opponent controls and destroy it. Or if you discard a fire monster in your hand, you can actually draw a card. That's like a pretty interesting ability because you can use this either in a water deck or a fire deck, which is actually pretty cool for this card's effect to help you go in for the different plays that you need, either basically doing what the Fire Kings don't do, or letting you draw cards, or letting you basically with the water monsters where they don't destroy cards very much, you can actually destroy a card on the field, which is pretty neat. Basically having the opposite effects, which is kind of cool. I like that about these cards, because especially that water effect to be able to just destroy a card. So for this card's second effect, that if only your opponent controls a monster, you manage to discard from the graveyard, target a level 7 or 8 water or a fire monster in the grave and special summon it. That's a pretty interesting ability, especially if you can get this card into the graveyard. I wish this card actually said that it was always treated as a Mermail Atlantean and a Fire King card, which would actually make it searchable in their decks, which would be really cool. especially to be able to just get it in the graveyard so you can use it like a monster reborn. You don't really need that so much in Fire King, but it could help a little bit out in Mermail Atlantean. But I think it's really cool that we're actually going to be stepping into a lot of water decks hopefully in the future. But I really like that we're getting actually the Mermail Atlantean cards now, which is really, really neat. So that's going to do it for the new support that we're getting out of Rage of the Abyss. We're going to have a lot of videos on the channel covering a lot of the new cards. We have new Battle Wasp cards. We have new Mermail Atlantean cards we're going to be covering. So definitely check out those videos as well. And comment down below which one you like better between the Mermail Atlantean and the Fire King card. So that's going to be this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next so you can become part of the notification squad. And we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.